Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining Megatrends and today's Megatrends webinar, in which we'll be looking at the connected car in a little bit more detail, particularly the human-machine interface. We're very pleased to be bringing you today's webinar in association with Elektrobit, or EB. EB has worked extensively on connected car technology and human-machine interface design. The benefits of the connected car are many and varied. For consumers, it offers enhanced opportunities for infotainment, communication, productivity, route guidance, and convenience. For well-organized service providers, it's a major source of big data and downstream revenue opportunities. There's another benefit of the connected car, as we'll hear from today's speaker, Ajay Ramohan. Ajay is senior software engineer at Connected Car at EB, and he will outline how the connected car can become a direct feedback channel between consumers and vehicle manufacturers. As usual, the format will be a half-hour presentation followed by a Q&A session. There will be slides available after the webinar. We'll send you a link to let you know how and when you can access those. And if you'd like to ask a question, please use the Q&A box on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. As you look at it, we'll attempt to address as many relevant questions in the time that remains after the presentation. That's it for now. I'm going to hand over to Ajay to talk about the connected car, real-time customer feedback at your fingertips. Ajay, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Martin, and welcome everybody from my side also. And I would like to talk today about my topic, connected car, real-time customer feedback at your fingertips. Today we will basically discuss a new and innovative solution developed here at Elektrobit Automotive to help OEMs and manufacturers to have a direct channel to their customer. So let's get straight into it then. This will be the agenda for today's presentation. Initially will be a small introduction on myself. Then we'll be looking at what is the importance, or why is it important to actually listen to your customers. Following that, we will look at some challenges that are already existing to actually gather feedback or directly talk to your customers. And then I would like to actually introduce to you the harnessing the power of speech and cloud, and how exactly we do this to give a product called EB Velima, which helps you get customer feedback from your customers. Then we'll have some slides about the benefits and features, and also deep dive into some particular features which I think are really important here. And also we'll take a look into the architecture, which is actually the driving behind this, and which actually enables us to provide this solution here. So let's just get started. As Martin already said, my name is Ajay Ramohan. I'm a senior software engineer at Elektrobit. I'm an AWS certified cloud solutions architect. At Elektrobit now, I've been working since September 2014, and overall I have about 9 years of industry experience. So that's it about myself. Then let's go into this slide. So you would normally have seen this kind of these kind of messages everywhere. Companies actually trying out to get ask the customers to actually give feedback. You would see a lot of such messages, wherein exactly companies try not only try to get feedback from the customers, but also some kind of suggestions which actually help them make their products better. Actually, this is also in coupled with the fact that nowadays we live in a world in which the customers are themselves very opinionated, and every customer in the end wants to give some feedback, and he wants to be heard, and he also wants to share his feedback and reviews with other customers so that they too can have a better experience in the end. Most sales channels now allow users to submit their feedbacks, and also multiple interfaces are now available for them to even publicly make these feedback available. In the end, what it basically tells us is everybody is actually looking forward to such kind of feedback or suggestions from the customers, and this kind of feedback is actually now very valuable in the industry. Coming to the feedback, or how exactly the mobility industry needs insights from this kind of feedback. Basically, there is a lot of work being done actually in the mobility industry also to get some insights from the customers themselves. The mobility industry itself is changing rapidly, and that is why getting valuable market insights will be crucial for the success of the mobility industry. OEMs and service mobility providers will need to know as much as possible about the vehicles, the consumers, and the consumer preferences, and also how the user experience is perceived, and also how exactly the services can be improved in the end to the end customer. These insights can be basically split along two different channels, which is about the vehicle attributes, and also the consumer attributes, and also regarding the services themselves. For example, services which are targeted towards a particular demography, services which are, or what kind of monetization is necessary for the services that are provided, or certain aspects like how can a service be actually customized to actually be given to the customer in which it can be provide the maximum value. So these kinds of insights are necessary for the mobility industry, and somehow this is lacking currently. Going to the next slide. Having said this, there is no lack of shortage in market research today. There are a lot of different channels or a lot of different avenues which are pursued by the car manufacturers and the OEMs to actually gain such market research or perform such market research today. However, a lot of these methods, which I will touch upon now, have inherent flaws in them, and overall, you can say that all of them are really, really costly for the manufacturer themselves and really time-consuming also. Let's now take a look at some of these possibilities. For example, you have focus groups in which a moderator would use a scripted series of questions or topics to lead a discussion. But these kind of discussions can be influenced by a particular dynamics of the group itself, and it cannot be something that is reflective of the real world. Similarly, you have a lot of surveys that are organized or performed by the OEMs, and basically they have a lot of survey questions, and depending on how good the survey questions are and how good the people are or who are actually responding to these survey questions, you might get good responses or responses which are not particularly useful in the end for the OEMs themselves. In the similar way, you have different things like personal interviews can be done, and if I go into the next slide, you would see there are some other possibilities also. You can have things like feedback terminals which are available, for example, in dealer shops or in some kind of road shows. You could have some kind of observations being done or even some field trials being done. However, in the end, as I said, all these are really expensive and in the end a lot of really time consuming, as you already need someone who's actually performing these surveys. The other big flaw that we see here is all these possibilities only gather the feedback from the customer, not at the time when the customer is facing the problem. So this is not something that is real time. The customer in the end has to go to some dealer shop, has to participate in some kind of survey, or has to participate in some kind of user group surveys to actually recollect his thoughts and then give it back in that particular point of time. So this is not something that is happening real time. However, this is something that is happening at a later point of time. So there is a certain gap that is already there. So this is something that we wanted to solve at Elektrobit, and now I'll just brief you on how exactly we are doing this. So one aspect which can help us taking advantage is the speech technology and the speed at which the general public and the industry is getting used to speech. Although there has been a lot of products which are centered around speech for quite some time now, only in the last decade, companies have begun exploring the full capabilities of speech and also, getting the most benefits out of it, be it in terms of pattern recognition, be it in terms of emotional analysis on the speech itself, and other kinds of processing that can be possible due to the technologies that are available now. At the same time, people are getting used to these kind of technologies, and more people are interacting directly with a particular provider using speech. Today, it is completely normal to actually tell your car where you want to go, or actually buy something directly by using power of speech. Also, you would see that in the industry, IT industry itself, speech is being used very highly now, and you would see that 1 in 4 mobile searches on Google now is through voice technology. So speech is something that is growing rapidly, and we decided to use the capabilities and the power of speech technology here to solve this problem. We combine speech and also cloud technologies to actually provide the solution here. So let's go into the next slide. Before I actually give you the product about EB Velima, that is our product which helps solve this problem, I want to give you some facts. These facts are not just about voice itself, but also how much the auto industry spends actually to get market research or good market research. It has been estimated that about 400 million is actually spent in the US alone, or more than 1 billion globally for market research, and this is an annual figure. So there is a lot of money that is being spent by the OEMs to perform such kind of studies or get some kind of feedback from the customers themselves. However, till now it has not been at a very effective rate. And on the other end, if you see how people actually use voice assistants, you would see that a lot of people, about 51% of the users, use the voice assistants in the car, 39% in home, and 6% in public or at work. So the high proportion here basically tells us that the usage would suggest that it is because of the hands-free law that regulate driving and texting, and also because they feel that car is a private space in which whatever they've spoken is something that is securely sent into some particular channel. So these are the two facts also which has to be kept in mind. Yeah. So going to the next slide. Now I would like to introduce you to EB Velima. EB Velima is basically a solution in which an automotive service providing customer satisfaction insights from spoken input. What it is users can directly, at the push of a button, directly speak into the interface, and then this spoken words is then stored in the cloud and then analyzed to get insights from this input. So for example, user in the car can directly give real-time feedback. He can directly, at the time when he is actually facing a particular problem, he can give this feedback. This feedback is then stored in the cloud. Once it is stored, we perform some kind of speech-to-text transformation in it, and then on the text that is generated, we perform certain classification and machine learning techniques to actually gain some insights into the spoken feedback. These results are stored in a secure and encrypted manner, and these results are then available for any analyst to actually use it in an interactive dashboard so he can actually analyze the data. The result in such a way that it is already pre-classified according to different categories, and once it is categorized in such a manner, the analyst can actually get more insights into the data. Not only he can not only get insights or a particular feedback, but he can actually look into the feedback that is coming in for a long period of time, and then get insights into how a particular product has been perceived by the customers, or what are the different pain points that are being touched upon by the customers, and so he can directly send these information so that this information can be worked upon as fast as possible. Also, the data that has been generated here in the cloud can be exported into CRM solutions of the OEMs themselves to provide them better insights into the data itself. So this is in short what EB Velima is and what it provides. Now I'll start looking into the different features and also the different benefits that EB Velima provides. So one main point that I would like to talk about here is that to actually increase satisfaction and improved customer relationship. This is both ways, both for the OEMs and also for the drivers or the people who are the passengers. So basically, for the OEMs, they directly get to know from the drivers what their needs are or what they actually are facing problems with, and they also can get suggestions from the drivers themselves on how exactly they can improve a particular product. And what happens is, because the feedback is real time, they get a chance to actually improve their products fast, and accordingly they can improve their products. By doing this, they kind of increase their service level which actually gets them a better brand recognition also. Also, what this actually does is helps them gather the feedback directly in a secure channel, but not in a publicly available channel like Facebook or Twitter, etc. On the other hand, for the drivers, they feel that they have a direct channel to the vendors, and they are able to pressure vent or get help from the local dealers. A channel can be used to praise a good product also, and also it can be used to give new innovative ideas also. And basically, it helps them get better engaged with the product itself. They have the feeling that there is someone on the other side who's actually listening to their voice and actually listening to their concerns also. So this is something that is drastically improved. For example, a lot of time we see that customers actually buy a new car, and then maybe a day into their new, driving, they find some problem with their car or some new product which they actually don't like, or some issue that they actually really like. However, it is a hassle for them to go into some different channel. For example, go into a dealer website and tell them about the problem, or provide this kind of feedback. However, if we give this inside the car itself, then this is very easy for him to actually provide this kind of feedback. So as I already said, now let's take a look at the features. One feature which I already said is that instant speech to text transformation. This helps in later on doing the classification. At the current moment, we have this transformation possible in 2 different languages. This is English and German. However, we are always open to more languages, and we are working, to add more languages into our system. As I already said, we provide ready-made classification and also tagging on the data. We have certain algorithms that run to actually process the data that is coming in and actually does some classification and tagging so that you can get better insights there. Once the information is tagged like this, the feedback can be put in or seen in dashboards which are actually interactive. You can work with them, you can add different queries to them. So this is possible. The other thing that is really something that is important is the security aspect of it. Excuse me. There might be certain data that the OEMs would want directly from the customers, which is in an encrypted format. So we provide different channels here. The encrypted channel is also provided, wherein which some secure information can be passed on from the customer to the cloud, and this is not even visible to us. It is directly only visible to the OEM themselves. So we can provide these kind of secure channels in which data can be transferred. Also, what I have to mention is, once the data is in the system, all data is stored in an encrypted fashion, and it is not possible for someone to actually read this data. The other feature is the client-side integration. I would touch upon this and also on the REST API in the next slides. However, the last thing is a scalable REST API. So basically, we provide in the end an API in the backend, basically to which OEMs can connect their clients, and also we provide a possibility to actually create different clients and different devices which are identified with keys, which help them securely upload data into the cloud. This data can be audio data, or also we are working on different modes in which data can be sent to the cloud. So, as I said, we provide just a feature in which it is EB Velima is available in the cloud for the OEMs to actually integrate it with the car itself. So how they can integrate actually depends on the OEMs themselves. They can provide a push-to-talk button in the console itself, through which the custom audio is recorded. They also can integrate into their graphical HMI. Or the other possibility is also having certain companion apps or even the car configurator web page that is available, wherein which they allow the customers to actually directly talk to the cloud. By doing this, what we basically allow is the complete flexibility for OEMs to actually gather as much feedback as possible from their customers and gather as much insights as possible using one particular solution. They do not have to create different kind of avenues to get the feedback from different kinds of scenarios. Also, there is a possibility in which users who are providing the feedback can be made anonymous. So, for example, you can allow the driver to send the feedback in an anonymous way if that is required. This is also provided in the solution that we have here. This is exactly speaking about what I said. So this is the REST API which can be used in different avenues. You would now see that customers are are ready to actually talk to a particular technology in different types of ways. They interact with it through their desktops, through their smartphones, through any sales of point terminal, or through their car itself. So we allow this possibility through in EB Velima that once the solution is enabled, the OEMs can then go ahead and allow different integration channels to the backend, thus allowing larger scope. And the scope for the customer is really large. And at any point of time when the customer wants to give a feedback, this is possible, and then this is then very much useful for the OEMs themselves. Now let's go into the feedback content analysis, or exactly how we actually perform the analysis on the data itself, because this is the most important part. For every feedback that is collected, we perform certain classifications, and the classifications is across different categories. You would see here There are three different categories in the dark gray boxes. This is the sentiment, the topic, and the improvement proposal. So sentiment basically here in which we basically categorize a feedback that is coming in as a positive, a negative, or a neutral feedback. So for example, a customer may be saying something that is very positive about the product, something which he doesn't like. So all these things is automatically classified. So the analyst has a better job there. He doesn't have to read all the different feedbacks themselves, but he can actually go into a particular subcategory and get all the relevant feedbacks. Also on the second category is the topic category, and in the topic category we have different classifications. Currently we use the JD Power rating classifications, as this is something that is widely recognized in the industry itself, and by this we can actually categorize the feedback that is coming in for a performance aspect of the car, for the comfort aspect, and so on and so forth. We have 5 different aspects here, and this actually gives us a very realistic picture of what exactly the user is speaking. So you can imagine when a user is giving a feedback, it is automatically categorized in a comfort category and then say in a sentiment of positive, negative, or neutral. So this makes the job very easy for the analyst in the end. We also have a different feature called as the improvement proposal. For example, if the user is speaking something as an improvement, where he says, okay, I want this particular feature which is not there, this automatically is categorized as improvement proposal, and this is something that you can be given more importance can be given into this to see what exactly the user is wanting, and then your development activities can be focused according to these needs. So this is directly available out of the box. We are on the other way working on different other categories also to make to get even better insights. I already spoke that we have an interactive dashboard. By using the categories and the keywords that we specified in the previous thing, we provide a dashboard which is very interactive. We already provide certain inbuilt charts or graphics that is available in which the data can be visualized. However, these dashboards are customizable by the analyst. He can perform any amount of different queries or different categorization possibilities or distribution possibilities or can be performed, and insights can be gained. For example, if a new product or a new software is actually being launched, then he could do a weekly distribution, for example, to check how exactly this new feature was actually perceived. This would be very helpful in the possibilities of a software over the air update on the car software itself. So once the software has been deployed, you could see in this particular week how exactly it was being perceived and what changes would be necessary to actually improve the experience for the user. So this capability actually helps in these kinds of insights. Also, the last point is important. User can then, in the entire feedback, he can actually search by keywords. So he can search for particular keywords which he might be interested in, and then actually perform queries on that, generate charts on that, which can be very helpful in particular, some criterions also. This is another feature that we provide. We also have the possibility to actually store the location from which the information was being sent. This is, however, is totally optional. However, if it is enabled, it then allows the OEMs to look into the problems or where exactly certain problems have been originated, and then demographical wise or regional wise, certain solutions can be provided. Maybe it is some dealer network that has to be targeted, or some feature that has to be provided at a particular position, at a particular geolocation. So all these kinds of possibilities is available. We spoke about the different features that is possible, but now let's see how this is enabled. But in the end, whatever is provided to the OEM is the OEMs basically look for something that is very competitive, because in the end they have to fight for every single dollar. So it would be a huge cost for the OEM itself if they had to pay it for a solution like this, even if it was hosted in the cloud, because there is a lot of complex processing going on. However, we currently have developed, or we use the excuse me, we use the serverless model, in which the entire architecture is kind of event driven, and the entire architecture is available only when certain events occur in the system, and these events may be certain feedback coming in or certain processing that is happening. In this manner, what we basically do is we provide the OEMs a pay-as-you-go model, where the OEM only pays for the processing that is happening, and also that is the feedback that is coming into the system. This is in the end a very cost-effective model for the OEM, and this then allows them to actually integrate such kind of system very easily into their into their system. Here we are basically using Amazon as our cloud provider. However, the internal architecture is in such a way that it can be ported across different cloud providers, and then or even a custom data center that the OEM has, because it is developed in a manner in which it can be ported across different markets or different cloud providers. Now we spoke about the possibilities or the different features and the benefits. Now let's go into the different possibilities that are available. We spoke about, I'll just touch upon two different possibilities that are available for EB Velima. Apart from the initial thing, that is direct feedback collection and analysis, let's see now how it actually can enhance other things. For example, end-to-end security and over-the-air updates is something that is happening. It's happening a lot these days. A lot of companies are actually working on over-the-air updates, software updates for the car itself. So once the software has been actually updated on the car, it is very important actually for the car manufacturers to get some feedback on the software that has been updated, or also if there is some problems, they have to get some feedback. So in this kind of situation, integrating EB Velima here would actually provide this kind of solution. As and when the software is updated and the user starts using it, if he finds certain problems, he can directly communicate these problems with using EB Velima. Also, he can say about certain different bugs that are arriving or certain features that he actually wants in the next software update. So this kind of actually integrates very well with the software over the air update model, and then helps the providers give better software updates, and in the next cycle provide better solutions for the consumers themselves. On the right hand side, you would see another scenario which we have mentioned here. This is basically something that the OEM spend a very large amount of money on. OEMs do a lot of testing on the road of the software itself, of the car itself. However, when performing these kind of testing, there is no kind of automation that is currently available. Testers have to themselves carry forms, write using pens, and basically have to collect all the information what is happening at a particular point of time which is related to a particular bug or issue. And then this information, which is collected in the form of in paper, has then gone back to the office and then has to be transferred or imported into an electronically. So there is a lot of work that is involved here. And also what would happen is, because this is a manual work that is being done, there is chances of the tickets that are being created is not up to a very high standard. A lot of issues can be missed. And also what would happen, you can imagine, is a lot of people would be doing these tests at parallelly, and then they would collect these kind of issues. And then for the person who is looking into these issues, it is a very big task for him to actually sort these tickets, make duplicates out of all these things. But imagine having a solution like EB Velima here, where a tester directly speaks what he is facing at a particular point of time, and then this directly is being stored electronically somewhere. We can then provide certain categorization mechanisms through which duplicates can be found out, or similar categorized problems can be bunched together, and then maybe a ticket can be created out of these things. So all these kind of possibilities are available, and by doing this thing, what we provide is a lot of time and money actually can be saved here. So these are the possibilities that we have listed. However, you would imagine that by using speech here and using the power of the cloud, a lot of different avenues are opened up, and a lot of different problems which could not be solved earlier can be currently solved using this kind of a solution. And we hope to actually solve many such problems in the near future. With this, I actually come to the end of my presentation, and we're actually at the 30-minute point also. We basically, in the end, actually want to give a message in which it's important for everyone to actually listen to their customer. Here it is your drivers, and by listening to them, you can not only improve their product, but in the next cycle or in the next channels, you could provide better solutions to them and provide better solutions so that you can never lose your customers and provide better solutions to them. With this, actually, I would like to end the presentation and actually open the Q&A session. Martin, would you like to take over now?
Thank you very much. Yes, if anybody would like to ask a question, please type it into the Q&A box on your screen, and I'll put those to AJ. I won't read out your name and company, so you'll be asking in relative anonymity. I was interested by the fact that we're asking consumers what they think. There's always a risk when you ask users and consumers that you're not necessarily getting a genuine reflection of what they believe. If you ask questions in a certain way, people will respond. Also, there's a risk that if you ask what do you want, they'll tell you something different from what they're prepared to pay for example. How does that get balanced in the consumer's desires and the consumer's thoughts on certain things? They might not like something, but it has to be done that way because of regulations and legislation. So how do you overcome what the consumer says they want and what they can have?
Yes, well, there are 2 points I'll touch up here. First thing is, you said initially asking questions. Normally asking questions can deflect the customers themselves, to tell something
right.
they don't want to say. In this mechanism, what we allow is there is no questions involved. The user directly speaks what he wants to say, and by this, he is actually speaking out his mind. Now coming to the second point, where in which the user might want something that is not possible. But here lies the beauty of Velima, right? You could look into the entire, not just one customer, but you could look into different demographics. You could look at a particular country or a particular region and then group all the different feedbacks that you're getting in. And you can then, because of this improvement suggestion box, you could see how many of these features are actually requested. And if you have a particular number, then what exactly happens is then it is the OEM's decision. Then if they want to actually pursue this and actually provide this. In the end, the OEM gets the flexibility to actually provide this or not, but we are actually providing this kind of a feature which was not available till now, which is not directly available till now for the OEMs to actually do this. So the OEMs can see, okay, there is in a particular region necessary for a different kind of maps, which is not required in another region, and then they could actually concentrate their development activities to provide this kind of a direct solution only to this particular region. So this kind of trend was not available. However, this is now available, and now it is up to the OEMs to actually provide this solution or deal it in any way which they which they believe is right.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was a quite interesting line of conversation that you had about speech, so I'd like to focus on that, and I wanted to talk to you about that. We've also had a question come in from the audience. How do you motivate customers to use voice feedback tools?
Yes, so this is something that we have seen. Most customers usually have something to speak about their products, and this is generally because of the times we live in also, right? You even buy a mobile phone, you even buy a pen or something, people want to voice their opinion, and what we have seen is that people really want this channel there, and we have seen this channel is something that can be used. And what is satisfying for the users themselves is once they give this feedback, if this is implemented by the OEM, or probably if there is no anonymity and the driver is recognized by the OEM, if this feature is available, then there could be some kind of direct link from the OEM back to the customer himself, and thus increasing the brand engagement or even the customer satisfaction. The customer then feels that there is someone on the other side who's actually listening to him. He is not just buying a car, going out on the road, and then there is nobody to care about him. But providing this kind of a solution actually gives the possibility to the customer, so that there is someone who can talk to. He doesn't have to drop his car off to a dealer and then go there, waste a day of time. He can at a press of a button, he can do this, so that he saves a lot of time, and in the end he also has the confidence that this kind of technology is widely being used, and once it is being used, the OEMs then can somehow reach back to him in some way, form or another, and then give him back the results.
Okay, are you able to talk a little bit more about the use of voice and speech recognition? Because it's obviously one of the most challenging communication tools in a vehicle between a human and the machine. Anybody from any nationality can touch something, and that will immediately transmit the message that needs to be transmitted. But even just within a country, you can have regional dialects, you can have different accents and so on, and then obviously it gets from one country to another. How challenging is voice, and is this, I'm guessing this might be an area where you have the greatest amount of challenges with customer feedback and the types of wants and desires that they might have?
Yes, so this is something that's a nice question actually. We initially had a lot of problems with this thing, but we kind of work with different kind of technologies to actually for speech to text conversion. And then we actually played around with different models that are available, which look into different dialects and also different kind of contextual scenarios. For example, when a person is speaking in the car, he is most probably talking something related to the car itself or some feature related to the car itself. So we have a certain vocabulary now, which actually helps us, get better insights here. And because of our extensive, uses of different speech-to-text conversion algorithms out there, we have now a very, stable solution which helps us in at least in the different languages that we have provided. However, depending on different, contractual agreements with the OEMs, we could provide them even better learning solutions, wherein which the learning module itself actually adapts the person who is speaking. So it actually learns more and more of how the person is speaking in his particular dialect, and also about his speaking style also. People tend to speak quickly, people tend to speak slowly, or they tend to pause in between sentences. But we have a model in which provides capabilities to actually adapt to the customer's needs himself, and then learns as he goes. And even though maybe his first two feedbacks or something like this may not be 100% recognized, but going ahead, it is something that is correctly recognized, and then the confidence levels is really increasing here. And so we have spent a lot of time here to actually come up with a particular speech-to-text conversion engine here, which actually helps us a lot here. And also, you would now imagine that there are a lot of different providers out there, be it your Google, be it your Amazon, be it some other providers. They do a lot of research actually on voice and basically conversion of speech to text. Not only conversion of speech into text, but also getting emotional analysis on all these things. So we are working with all different partners, and and we are committed to actually providing the best possible solutions here.
I imagine that over-the-air updates is something that's particularly popular. Is that something that you found? And what are the challenges, concerns, desires of the people that you've heard from on this?
We have actually, over-the-air update is something that also Elektrobit works with, and we have our own solutions for this, for over-the-air. And we are in the process of actually combining these two solutions also in a way in which they can be used in a better way. However, the question you asked is very interesting also, because normally what we see is that a new feature is actually added to a particular car, is updated, and then there are certain features, which the user might not like. Till now, we have not, done it in an extensive scale, wherein which we can give you insights of how exactly the customer speaks. But we can imagine, this being a very, possible scenario wherein which a new software is updated and then user gives comments on this. This is very similar to the way in which updates happen on your Android or your iOS. Each time a new update is there, you would see a lot of discussions happening, reviews happening in different forums, for example, Android forums on these updates itself. And this is something that also we want to pick up. Whenever a new software is updated, we could then pick up the different feedback that is coming in and actually help the customers.
You mentioned Android and iOS there, and something I wanted to talk to you about is how much you find that customers expect smartphone functionality in a car now. How influential has what people are used to doing on their smartphones been on what they expect to be able to do inside their vehicles?
Yeah, this is
in terms of the way they communicate with the vehicle and move between applications and so on.
This is something that even the OEMs are working upon. This is a challenge for them, providing interfaces for the customers which are as good as the interfaces that you tried in a mobile or something. So a lot of different OEMs now have, the possibility to actually connect your phone to your HMI interface, or even, provide an HMI interface of the car which is similar to the mobile itself. And that is where something where EB Velima is very good, or very, which you can take advantage of this, because we not only provide the capability to have it in the HMI, currently we also have demo client applications as an Android app. So for example, we have an Android app now, which allows the customer to directly speak to, and then this can be used as a base client to generate your client around. And now we have seen that most customers are very confident, or they are used to this technologies of mobiles and these kinds of interfaces and talking directly to them. as I already said, in one of my slides, 1 in 4 mobile searches that happen on Google is happening through voice. So this is a direct transition from that can happen. And people are, open to the idea of speaking directly into the car itself. And this is something that the OEMs also recognize. They are also, working towards having better interfaces, which, help them, seamlessly, merge between the mobile interfaces that they have and the car interface, And EV Velima can be useful here because we provide interfaces into both of these things. Does this answer?
Okay, another area that you touched upon was security and online safety, and I wonder if you can just spend a couple of minutes just talking about what you've learned from consumers and from customers about their concerns regarding data security and privacy.
Yeah, this is one of the hot topics, for some years now. How exactly you use the cloud, that is one point, but how exactly you secure the data on the cloud. So from the beginning itself, we decided to go with the secure architecture here. We thought about security from the ground up. It's not something that was built on top of the architecture that we have here. So every point in which data is being transferred or has been kept at rest is encrypted here. So only the necessary components can actually access the data. So we have actually worked with different third-party auditors, security auditors who actually looked into our system itself, and then they have been auditing our system in terms of security. And actually, we provide them a very secure solution here in the end. And this is something that we are committed to also as a company, to provide a very secure communication channels for the cloud. Going into, because in the end, this is something that the customer is really worried about, or even the OEMs themselves. This is something that they're very much interested about, how secure the data is. So we provide end-to-end encryption here. Even the data that is stored is encrypted, and we even provide possibilities like only securely identified devices can talk to our backend. We use certificates here to actually recognize the devices themselves, and only devices with the particular certificates and then a password to actually use this thing can talk to them. However, this is something that is flexible. The OEM can provide an authentication mechanism that suits him. And as I already said before, this can be something that can be done anonymously also. We provide certain services through which the data that is coming in through the system can be anonymous. It can say it did not come from particular device. However, it came from a fleet of devices that, say, an OEM has. So even the OEM themselves have the possibility to make the feedbacks that is coming in as anonymous. So they do not have the possibility to actually identify from whom it is coming. So this gives not only privacy, but also encrypts the data, also gives them privacy, and increases the confidence with which the person can, or the consumer can, in the end, use this thing.
Okay. Well, the presentation is called
we actually give a lot of importance to security, and we have made sure that this is completely secure architecture here. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, the presentation is called Real-Time Customer Feedback at Your Fingertips. I just wondered if we talked about voice, which obviously doesn't involve fingertips. Another way of communicating with the vehicle is through gesture. Is that something that people are interested in, or is this, let's say, a technology that, whilst it might be possible, isn't going to take off?
There are certain possibilities for this too, but currently at the moment we're just looking into speech as the input mechanism. However, EB has different capabilities through which we work on gesture technologies also, and depending upon the requests, we could make this possible. But however, at this point of time, this is only through speech. There is a possibility in which we can also provide textual input. However, we have seen that speech is a better way of communicating, and we have limited it to speech currently.
All right, thank you. I wonder if you can look into the future a little beyond just the bringing of connected car technology to mainstream vehicles, but looking beyond that to mobility services and shared vehicles. And by that I mean vehicles which are part of car sharing services and that might even have been developed specifically for those services. Is there any research being done into what consumers might want there?
Currently, we are actually very much concentrated on the on the two possibilities, that is the over-the-air updates and also the testing scenarios. However, we would in the future actually look into different scenarios. Currently, we are not looking into the possibilities, of like a shared vehicles, and other possibilities. We actually want to, in the end, to give the OEMs the possibility to have these, these kind of interfaces, because once this kind of a solution is available there, because the OEMs have the possibility to create different kind of clients, they can create clients which actually suit their needs. And in the end, OEMs will be better, suited to actually create different scenarios and come up with different scenarios where they would like to have this thing. We actually provide them a possibility to actually perform this kind of, collection of feedback, performing this kind of feedback collection and storing it on the cloud. The OEMs them have the, the possibility to have different kinds of scenarios, different interfaces actually, and they can talk to us, and then we would definitely help them in, coming up with different solutions to actually help their needs. So in short, currently we only have these particular scenarios, but we are also open to different requests that are coming in.
And in the time that you've been working in this area, have you noticed any changes that vehicle manufacturers have made as a result of research that you've done where you've identified something that customers don't want and you've fed that back to a vehicle manufacturer?
This particular product actually has been released just recently. So we are now currently in the phase in which we are actually providing this solution to different OEMs. OEMs are actually coming up to us with different requests that they have, and how they actually want this solution to be. For example, one particular OEM actually wanted the different topic classifications, because you see the JD Powers classification, it was a request from a particular OEM, and then we can categorize it as they want. Currently, we are still pitching the idea to different OEMs and then looking into their requests. We haven't got a concrete response from them about a particular scenario which they found in which this could be useful, but we already have different kinds of scenarios which I already pointed out, which are already the OEMs like. So multiple OEMs have contacted us related to software over the air updates and also creating of the tickets, which they think is a real pain point for them, and we are actually currently working towards finalizing those solutions for them.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today. Thank you to Elektrobit for sharing in the creation of today's webinar, and to you for putting together your presentation and taking those questions. It's been very interesting. I hope everybody who joined us today has found it as interesting, and we'll look forward to receiving an email later on today or tomorrow with a link to how you can access the slides and an on-demand recording of the webinar. With that, I'm going to draw today's session to close. Thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next Megatrends webinar. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.